You doing good?
Yeah, not too bad, you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad. So yeah, now that we've got our guest here, I'll introduce this. So this is Quarantine Fitness and Life, and we've got to episode 9. So this is just a platform I've created to sort of help people with their physical fitness and also just work out any other situations in terms of lockdown, in terms of what any stress levels they're feeling, just to sort of help people get through these lockdown times. And I have got my main co-host here, which is Simon Chandler, who is at Shredded with Simon on Instagram. So yeah, now we've got that sort of the formalities sort of out the way there.
Yeah.
You managed to actually achieve something that you really set out from the start of this lockdown. So we'd like to sort of like talk about what that is and what you've created.
Yeah, well, basically, a few weeks ago, I decided I wanted to do something to help people train in the lockdown. So I got to work putting together a resistance band training program, which is like a full progressive program to teach people how they can progress with a band training plan. So it's taken basically all of my time over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Any free time I had, well, arguably all my time's free at the minute, but most of my free time that I've chosen to be doing that. So yeah, and I managed to release that a little while ago. So that's one of my sort of big achievements this week. It's left me a bit bereft, like trying to decide what my next project is going to be. But yeah, and it's already helping a few people who have sort of got on the plan and started training with it. So that was the biggest success for me, actually bigger than finishing it, is that people are actually using it and it's helping them. So yeah, that's been what's been going on my end at the minute.
And the reason I sort of did want to sort of like get you to sort of say that really is that, do you feel that you doing that during this lockdown, do you think that's actually helped you through this lockdown?
Oh yeah, it was having something to do that I'm holding myself accountable to get done was really useful, actually, because otherwise you're just kind of floating around with nothing really that you have to do. And like people might argue that I didn't have to do that, but because I've made myself a promise that I was going to do it, and it wasn't just for me, it was more to help other people. That's kind of got me through. So the first couple of weeks I didn't really have anything to do, and I found myself with loads of ideas of things that I kind of wanted to do and not doing any of them at the beginning, because I was just kind of getting used to not having anyone telling me what to do or having a reason to do things apart from my own motivation. So yeah, it was good. Well, once I decided to do it, it was actually really nice to have a little project to work on and see it progressing. So yeah, definitely helpful.
So what would you sort of really say to people that, because a lot of people would have been in the same situation that you were in, or maybe still are in that, in the sense that they're in this lockdown, there's maybe even things that they think they might want to do, or just the fact that no one's telling them to do anything. How do they get from the period of not even think about doing something to think about doing something to then actually actioning something? What sort of steps would you say to people in those sort of like situations to try and get themselves to where you've got to in terms of actually doing something, even finishing it?
Well, I think once you've got an idea, what you really need is a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, an idea and a plan are two totally different things, really. Exactly. So it's easy to have a concept of something, which is great to be an ideas person and have ideas. But I think once you've got an idea that you like, just create, and even if it's a small bullet point plan that breaks it down a little bit smaller for you into things like we were talking about last time that you can tick off along the way, and getting started, really. So one of the things for me, I mean, it might sound like the best way to start something is to start it, but sometimes you can overthink yourself into inaction. Like with me, one of the things I suffer from is thinking something's not going to be good enough. So I think it's not going to be good enough. People aren't going to want it. People aren't going to use it. So I'm not going to make it. And I can talk myself into not doing something. I think really you have to be doing something for yourself first and foremost. So for me, my plan is to help people, but that kind of helps me because it makes me happy. So although it's for other people, the deep down it's really for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, there has to be that sort of initial drive to do it, but just get started. And even if you create something that's maybe not something that might be in your, let's say you had an idea for a product and the first day you write some stuff down, it doesn't make it into the final cut. It doesn't mean it didn't help you on there and you've done something. You get used to doing something. And that's the hardest thing in lockdown is if you want to do a project is getting used to going from, I don't have to do anything. I can just like sit and watch TV, which I also quite enjoy. Which is an inactive activity, as it were, to going into something which is you having to kind of engage your brain a bit and do some work. So yeah, just showing up and getting something down and doing something. It's the same with working out. If you do 10 minutes and yesterday you did nothing, you're still better off today than you were yesterday. And then if you build that up to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you're doing an hour, it doesn't mean you have to go from 0 to hero overnight. And that's what I think people get sort of stuck on. Like, oh, well, someone's doing more than me. Who cares? Did you do more than you did yesterday? Yeah, that's a success. So don't put massive pressure on yourself to suddenly doing loads of stuff. Just do, if you've got an idea you want to work on, do more than you did yesterday towards it. So it could be 10 minutes on something from nothing the day before. That's great. That's progress. As long as you're making that progress every day and you're getting closer to your goal, it's a win at the moment because we have all that time to use. It's up to you how much you use. You don't have to use any of it or you can use all of it. But if you're getting closer to a goal you've set, that's, in my books, is a win.
I mean, you've pretty much laid it out there. I mean, that really is gold for people there. But I mean, we'll dissect it sort of a little bit as well. The first one I really just want to go into was it's just getting started. Just put things down. I mean, you made the decision to start, but then the decision is okay, but then to actually do it are worlds apart, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
So, I mean, what do you think it takes for someone to have an idea that thinks is good to then actually just doing it?
I think sometimes there's something known as like a mental countdown, which is where if you have an idea that you want to act, you have a really kind of short window of time before you talk yourself out of it. So sometimes it's that space between an idea and an action. The longer it is, the less likely it is it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the best thing is to act immediately if you are in a position to. So if you go, right, I've got really a good idea for a website, write it down, get on the computer, get that first 10 minutes done and have that action, because you can really talk yourself out of doing things because your body and your mind are designed to keep you comfortable. Mm-hmm. So like in the subconscious, so if you're going from a space of comfort where having to sit and do nothing to, oh, this is going to be hard work, and your body sees that, or your body and mind subconsciously see that stress coming, they will try and talk you out of doing it because it's not even something you might be consciously aware of, but it happens all the time. Like with doing a set in the gym and getting to that point where you just go, that's enough. But you could have done a bit more, but your body tells you that's enough now, weights down. And that happens all throughout your life before you don't even notice it most of the time. So yeah, it's just once you've got an idea, really just try and get some action behind it as soon as you can before you start talking yourself out of it, because it's easy to do that now when you're on your own. A big conversation with yourself usually ends in activity, in my opinion, especially with me.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. And it's something that Aaron, who I had on, I think it was episode 3, he talked about how someone said about the 5-second count.
Yes, that was. I can't remember her name. It was a female motivational speaker talks about that with getting out of bed. There's a 5-second countdown, and
which
between.
Is to what you're saying. Yeah,
it's all effectively the same kind of thing. She just applies it to getting out of bed in her speeches, but it is because she said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump out of bed. It's done now. But you've got the thought that you should do it and the action linked. And by the time the 5 seconds are gone, boom, snooze button, and you're back in comfort again. So I think it's right. I kind of live by that, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's what it's like there, because if you've got an idea and you go, that's really good, at that point there, that's at the ticker going. If you then just jump on that before you get to the 5 seconds where you can just go, it's a great idea, but what happens if this doesn't work, or do I need to do this? Do you see how it really, you can actually talk yourself out of it the more you start thinking, whereas you just go, right, this is a great idea, let me see if I can just do it, let me just get something down. That just makes it a bit more positive in that you're moving forward from it being that idea to actually being something of reality. And I think really what then comes from that is the thing that will stop people is something else that you said, like, is what I'm doing good enough, or what will people think about it? Do I think it's good? All these types of negative self-talks, but really in the end of the day, the stuff that you started off with your band plan, how much of that is in your final cut?
Not all of it. To be perfectly honest, I made, because there was a lot of testing involved, I wrote down some workouts. Now, bearing in mind, if anyone who sees this has been following me, if you go through my Instagram feed, there's no resistant band training. It's not something that I do. Yeah. So I wrote a plan based on what I'm used to doing in the gym, but with bands. And then I trialed all of the workouts, and half of them I had to change because I realised that stuff was not going to work. So, but the whole thing is that when I had the idea to do the plan, I wrote it down, because as soon as it was manifested physically on a piece of paper in front of me, I'm like, now I can come back to it as well. You can't revisit an idea unless you write it down. So that's always a great start. It's just to manifest it somehow physically. If you take a picture of something and make notes, or write in a diary, or do something on the computer, or just I'm a nightmare. I'll grab some printer paper and just scribble stuff. All of my stuff is handwritten, but then I can go, okay, I've had that idea. I'll come back to it tomorrow and I'll look at it with a critical eye and I'll make some changes, but I'm changing a physical thing rather than just an idea. And that stops me talking it out of it, because everything I change is progress to the next bit.
And I think that is a key point there, that the way that you described it, it's like you're not changing an idea, you're changing a physical product by it being on paper.
Yeah.
So that's, again, getting you from the step of it being an idea to it being an action that you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing with people. It's like, if you've got issues with trying to get things started or to move forward, you need to move forward by just taking one extra step. And if that's just writing something down in paper and revisiting the next day, at least you've got it down paper, because it's making it almost like a to-do list.
Yeah.
Something to hit back on. And I think that's really great. But then also what you said there as well, that you trialed so many exercises because it's something you'd never really done before. And now your final cut doesn't have a lot of stuff that you started with. Does that mean that the stuff that you started with was a waste of time?
No, because I wouldn't have known what was good if I hadn't have done it.
So really the point I'm trying to really get here for people to see is to see that nothing is going to be perfect the first time we do it. So if we go at things thinking that they need to be perfect from the outset, then we're never going to even get anywhere near the finished product, because the finished product will probably most likely be completely different to what you started with.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I was the one thing, actually, I was going to say it came from somewhere, but I think it's come from me. I was like, the only thing in your life you should ever regret is inaction.
Yeah.
Because you can't regret trying something, because at worst you'll learn something from it, but you can regret the stuff you didn't try.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll never know. So just try. At the end of the day, I've released loads of products through the years that have failed miserably. Mm-hmm. And half of them people don't even know about. I've created. At one stage I had a whole clothing line. Now no one even knows about that, and I've probably got about £1,500 worth of stock still in a cupboard somewhere that never sold. And it will probably come useful sometime, but really it was just a lesson in what not to do next time.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if it's something that you said, but it's almost like every mistake or every failure is a blessing in disguise. You know, it's that type of idea, you know, that just because you either make a mistake or you try something that doesn't come off, then that is not the end of the world. And I think if people come at things with the idea that failing or things not working out is the worst thing in the world, then that makes it easier for them not to want to even try.
Yeah.
If you come at things with, okay, if this doesn't work out, then at least can learn from what happened with that, then all you're just going to do is progress. Because in essence, what you've done is an archetype for just what I've said.
Yeah.
You know
yeah. And if you never tried it, you wouldn't know whether it was going to be successful or not. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Because it's the difference, I suppose, between, like we said at the beginning, having an idea and having something actually tested. Like, even if you're testing it on yourself, like with my plan, I went through the whole series of workouts and stuff, so I knew that it worked. But if you've just got an idea, even if it's a well thought out idea, if it's never been put into practice, there's no sort of anything physical behind it. Really, you will never know if it really is a good idea, because concepts are funny things. They can sound great and not work, or they can sound useless and be incredible. Like, there was one of my friends once said to me that success in business is not about having great ideas, it's about having the guts to implement mediocre ones.
Yeah. We'll put it this way. I mean, way before this product I'll talk about was created, most people would have, they may have even come up with the idea themselves, but it was probably so simple that people just thought that could never take off. And when I say it, you'll probably go, wow, okay, yeah. The Post-it note.
Yeah.
You know, something so simple, right? I'm sure many people thought before, but it just took one person to action it, and they're the ones that made the money from something as simple as the Post-it note.
The example my friend always gave me, because we, obviously, as you know, if you do on your post, we live in Canary Wharf, and he said, people around here have got money, and they will buy stupid stuff. He said, if we set up a stand in Canary Wharf, and all it was healthy water, we'll get a load of bottles of like water, and we'll put bits of fresh fruit in them, and we'll sell them for £3 a pop. Like, but that would probably work. But to me, it's like, no, that's ridiculous. But that's those kind of ideas when people just go, well, that's a simple idea, but it would probably work. And he says, yeah, you don't need a good idea. You just need something people will buy if you want to make money. That is. Yeah.
I suppose that's more. If this was a business sort of website, then that would definitely be something that you definitely go. But yeah, because that's more a case of if you want people to. If you want your ideas to be successful, it needs to be something that people actually find valuable and useful.
Yeah,
but even going away from even it being that type of business thing, that's the whole purpose of what you're doing. You're doing something that's got value to people. They can't get to a gym. This is actually going to help them be able to train at home.
Yeah, and
be effective.
The one thing that I realised when I was doing it is that I was shocked, because at the beginning I was one of those super positive people that was like, it doesn't matter, there's a way to train that you can keep making gains, and it was quite kind of unfounded. Like, it was like, I knew the science behind it, and I knew in theory it was possible, but obviously I've never tested it, so I've never trained from home. And then actually, when I've been doing the resistance band training for 7 weeks straight, and that was it. All I had was one set of resistance bands. Literally nothing else. I mean, I used some like.
Thank God it didn't snap.
yeah, thank God it didn't snap. That was the only worry, really. So if you do get a good quality set, but that's all I was using. And after sort of 6 weeks, I was thinking, you know what? I'm still making good progress here. And I'm feeling sore in the right places, and all I've got is these bands, and it made me sort of think, I want to change people's minds. Like, anyone who thinks that they're stuck in a rut, they can't make progress. And that's the whole kind of reason that I pieced together the whole project, to be honest. Because it was about 3 weeks in when I realised, this is working, and there was a lot of negativity, especially in the more adept fitness people, actually, than that's your everyday people, because obviously they're more intermediate to advanced trainers. And I realised there's no need for everyone to be so negative. Let me create something that I can give to someone who's like at an intermediate level, and then to go, oh, actually this works. And that was it. That made me really happy, because that was exactly the response I got from the first couple of people that have gone onto the plan. They're like, oh, I've never had such a good workout at home, you know, with just the band. So I was like, that's good. And if anything, that's enough for me. Like, just for people to say that it's helping them.
Yeah. And I think what it really does show is why actually have an idea for something good, but you need to have. It comes back to something that we've had almost a major chat about before in our previous lives. There needs to be a reason behind what it is you're truly doing. And your reason for what you're doing was, you said it might not have been initially this specifically from when you started, but it changed to this, and it was to be able to change people's minds with how effective the workers could be with a band.
Yeah.
And that became your challenge, and that's what drove you on to keep on doing this and to keep on testing different things. But it all came from that sole purpose, and I think that's what people need to understand, that whatever thing they want to try during this lockdown, or even when this lockdown's over, whatever ideas you have, understand what is the purpose of your day, what are you trying to do, what problem are you trying to solve, who are you trying to help. Because once you understand this will drive you forward the right way, and then your ideas will be focused properly on the thing you're trying to do, and that's where you're going to get better ideas, because you're starting to think the right way. Because do you think a lot of noise in terms of maybe things you might have looked at, it managed to get a lot better with what you're doing when you had that sole focus of, I'm doing this because I want to change people's minds? Or did you get a better focus when you understood the real reason?
I would also say, in terms of sort of that element of thinking, is that I wanted to show to myself as a trainer that I can do this. Like, this is, if I'm in a situation where, and I think we said this on the first live, if I could never go back to a gym ever again, and all I could train with was resistance bands, I'd still want to do men's physique and bodybuilding training. I wouldn't stop. So I wanted to almost prove to myself that if this is all I had, I could do it, and I could help my clients with the same thing. And it means that there's no excuse to not make progress that you want, because I still wanted to make progress. I'm sure you did as well. You've obviously incorporated a lot of tempo training I've seen and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was a drive, like, not only to change people's minds that they could do it, but to prove to myself that I could do it as well. And I think if you're in any profession and you're in a position where you think you've got a manager, let's say you want to move up, or there's a position you want to fill, or there's a level of expertise you want to prove that you've got, now's your time to prove to yourself that you've got it. It's a learning opportunity as well. You've got a lot of time to experiment with things, research if that's your bag, read. There's loads of positive ways you can spend your time to learn something or prove something to yourself. Put an idea into practice and try it for yourself, even if it's just for you. It's not for a group of people or a job. Like could be. I've seen. Here's an example. Actually, I've seen quite a few fitness people who are stuck for something to do. They need a new challenge, learning how to do handstands. This is like a big thing down on Instagram. There's loads of people trying to learn how to do handstands, but they're taking the opportunity to learn a new skill they otherwise probably wouldn't have done. So that's a skill development, not necessarily a product, but it's something to spend your time advancing on. And again, having a target is so useful.
Yeah, and I think that's really, I mean, is it something that I feel everyone needs to do? No, but really, I think if people had a good aim of going, by the time this lockdown's over, I want to have improved in at least one area, I think that would be a very good goal for people to have. Be it that they know more about movies because they like movies, be it that they can do handstands because something wants to try. But it's this idea of self-improvement, that is what actually drives us towards goals. That is what makes us want to become better. That's what, in essence, actually makes us feel more content, because that we've got a purpose towards something. And that's why I went back to you saying that you doing this band plan, did that really help save your sort of even mental state during this lockdown, do you think?
In a way, yeah, I think. I think I had like the first week getting used to things, but
Uh-huh.
I'd be pretty foolhardy with stuff like this. I'm usually all right when it comes to change.
Uh-huh.
But I think having, like I said right at the beginning, just having something to focus on.
Exactly.
I mean, and it got to, because the first week, I was just playing a lot of games, and I was leveling up through the game. So that was my focus. Okay. Which is great at the time, but
Uh-huh.
when I've been doing that for a few days, I realised that's fun, but there was zero real life achievement. I didn't enjoy that because I'm like, well, if I'd have spent my time on something else, then I could have, look, this is something I've made, but I'm not going to be announcing on Instagram or to the family I got to this level on this PlayStation game, you know, cause that's ridiculous, you know, that's just like a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like there to be an end result. I think that's why I like making videos. I like doing this stuff with you, because at the end of it, you've created something that you can show someone else or help someone else with. So yeah, definitely. I think the opportunity to be helping people in any way that I could was probably what drove me through the most. Not just through doing the band, but doing other stuff as well, because I think that's what drives me to be a trainer in the first place. So anything I could do, even when people message me asking me stuff like, and I can help them in any way, I think that's what's got me through, really. Like being a go-to person for people to ask for help with physical fitness has probably made lockdown much easier for me.
So really, it's just a case of actually just finding newer ways of doing what you did before. Yeah,
in a sense, but also it might not necessarily be what you did before, but what do you find rewarding? Like some people are in jobs that they don't find rewarding. Like that's pretty common. So think about what you do find rewarding, what you enjoy, and find a way to do that now.
And that right there is the sort of gold. Because in the end of the day, it's only when we do things with a purpose, with some sort of passion, with some sort of want to do it, that is the things that we're going to find the most easiest to want to progress in. Why? Because we care about it. We actually want to do it. Life, in my opinion, really is about doing things that you find purpose in, or to create your life in a way that gives you purpose. The only way you can really do that is to do the things that you actually enjoy and like doing and find joy in, and possibly then want to actually improve in. Because one thing that you said with this as well is that now that you've actually done this, you've achieved something. That has actually led you to want to now do other things, hasn't it? Because you don't now just want to rest on that laurel now. It's got you wired to want to do other things. I mean, is that right?
That is 100% right, and mainly because I was so busy creating that, I hadn't really thought about what I was going to do when I'd finished. And when it got to the point, there was the whole release part should have been the exciting bit for me. Like, oh, it's done, I get to release it, show the world what I've been making the last 3 weeks. But actually, it got to the point where, oh, I've got nothing to do now. That was more my thought. I was like, I should have thought of this. I should have thought of what I want to do next. And over the weekend, actually, I've had some cool plans about things I want to create, which I'm going to keep under my hat for now because I'm quite excited to kind of release them as like a fun thing. But yeah, there was that moment when it's like, I've got no purpose again all of a sudden because there was that thing, and I like to have a mission, like what I've got to get done.
This is why I thought this would be really good to sort of dissect this. When people don't have a purpose or don't have a mission, and I'm not talking about like to create a program or to come up with a business idea, but I just mean just to have something to drive them forward in that day or that week. They don't have a purpose, then no wonder it's easy to not feel motivated to do anything or to feel bored. You need to find something that comes from you that you actually want to try and do. I mean, you could have easily regressed back, but because you're off the high of doing it, and just because you are a driven individual, which does help, but actually realizing that you've finished that, you need to find something else to keep that drive going. That is the thing that people need to really understand. That's where motivation comes from. That's where success comes from. It comes from actually wanting to have purpose. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I think if you don't have a purpose, you are, like I've said many times, like a rudderless boat. Like, you don't really know where you're going, and it's really hard to work towards a destination. You don't know where that destination is, which is pretty obvious in life, but a lot of people don't. And this is a great time to do it, actually, just to sit down and think to yourself, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Like we used the example in the last chat that I had left a job to move on to the next. You've done the same thing, to do something that you really are happy with. But if you're not sure you're happy what you're doing, spend time to think about what you might be happy doing, and not just like comfortable doing, but like really happy doing, and spend some time pursuing it. Or even now, you might not be able to go into that dream job because we're not doing that now. But you can certainly read about it, look it up, speak to people who do it, and find out more about things you might want to do. If you decided you want to get in shape, it's time to get in shape. Speak to someone that can help you, because there's loads of people out there. It's not just me. There's loads of people doing home workouts. If you haven't got resistance bands, there's trainers that specialise more in body weight training. There's loads. Yeah, exactly, yourself. There's loads of people that can help. Even if it's just for like a quick chat and a question. Like, I don't know about you, but if someone asks me an easy question to answer, I haven't got time to do full consultations with every single person that messages me, but I will answer as many as I can if they're easy questions to answer. I'm not going to calculate your macros for you, but I'll tell you the basics, you know. But there's so many people you can speak to. We're all in an environment now where we're sort of in sort of an anti-social environment where we're stuck at home. A lot of people have got more time on their hands than they usually have. More people are stuck on their own. And a lot of people probably appreciate you reaching out for help to them, because one, it sort of solidifies that they are a source of information in their field, which is a nice feeling, whoever you are, as far as I'm concerned. Even if you don't have time to answer, it's nice to be thought of when you ask about something. And also, most people probably got a little bit more time to sort of dedicate to answer questions you might have about stuff. So don't be scared to message someone and ask, because that's why a lot of helping institutions do what they do, because they want to help you. Like it's the same mentality. I don't know if you've ever had this in your gym, where someone clearly wants to ask you a question, but they're scared to approach you, and you have to approach them to speak to them, because they don't want to ask. Like, don't be scared to ask. It's why we do what we do. We want to help. So yeah, definitely pursue your wants. And if you need to ask for assistance, just do that. Why not?
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, both of us, fitness professionals, we've got a lot of knowledge and experience, but did that solely come from us?
100% not.
So again, it just makes the issue a lot of people have when they try to pursue something, or maybe to turn an idea into an action, is they just still feel that they need to have everything sussed out and they need to know everything. But here's both of us that are personal trainers. We've competed at all these things like this. We did not know everything, and did that stop us from actually just making the step to just do it? No, because we only just learn to get better. We can't know everything straight away. And you even used your baby analogy the last time we spoke, in terms of saying that a baby tries to walk, but as it fails, it doesn't just go, right, I've fallen down 5 times, this walking thing isn't for me, as you said, and just crawl for it. Yeah. It doesn't do that. But why is it that we think like that?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Anything, I would say the words trial and error, you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Trial and error is a phrase that's thrown around but seldom used.
Yep.
Right, so like, if you look at it in terms of bodybuilding, obviously, if you want to have the best experience with yourself or with a trainer, you have to learn your body, so you have to try things. Trial and error. Make one change to your diet, see how it affects you. Make changes along the way, and trial and error. How many people actually do that? Not many. So it's used a lot, but all trial and error is basically taking calculated risks to make like an end result, right? But it doesn't get used. And really, if you want to get better at something, or you want to do something someone else has never done before, you're going to have to use trial and error at some stage. Yeah. And there will be errors, but that's when you learn. You go, okay, that didn't work, let's try this. It's like trying to come up with a new chemical. and you're mixing things together, right? And you try the first three things together, that doesn't work. You switch one out, that doesn't work. And you keep trying because you know eventually one combination is going to create your end product. So if you stop, then you won't know. You could have just been right there. It could have been the next one. So never stop. Unless you go completely under and it's obviously not going to work, in which case you need a new idea. But again, you'll learn that along the way.
Exactly.
There's a great picture of two guys digging for gold. And one guy digged all the way along and he's got nothing. And another guy's digged halfway and he was right near the gold, but he stopped because the other guy didn't find anything.
Yeah.
And I love that little picture because you never know how close you are to a breakthrough. Yeah. So if you've done so much trial and error and things are getting better, just have that sort of the audacity to keep going because you never know. You never know.
I'll generally say that for me because I've been training since 2001 and I became a personal trainer properly qualified at the end of 2018. Me being the first year getting the qualification, that was the qualification, but that didn't make me have the knowledge and experience that I had. The thing that made me become first training, me doing the course feel quite straightforward for me is because of the previous 17 years of trial and error that I had.
Yes.
So it meant that when I was doing the course, it all made sense to me because I've done all the mistakes. Yeah. I've done all the things. So this is why I'm so in tune with it, because I've done the trial and error. And this is what, as you said, it's seldom used. How many people who, in terms of their weight training, in terms of the nutrition, in terms of all these things, how many people actually have tried to do a lot of these things and done it with actual, this didn't work, why did it not work, and actually break it down to understand why things have worked and haven't worked. Trial and error is okay, but there needs to be some sort of not necessarily plan, but there needs to be some sort of structure of identifying why things didn't go well and trying to rectify it. So with me, the physique I've created, that's just been pretty much 17 years until after I qualified of that trial and error and actually seeing why did this not work? Okay, this is why it didn't work. Why have I not grown? This why I've not grown. I needed to get more sleep. I needed to eat more protein. I needed more carbs. It's all these things. And really, in essence, us as coaches, that's just what we do. Yeah. It's not trial and error in the sense of, we just try things. We have to work out the situation with a person. Have they probably, for a lot of some of my clients, I mean, a lot of them come in that their calories have been so low for so long. And it takes me a while to build their metabolism back up to then get their body firing properly. And it's funny because for instance, people they're wanting to lose a bit of weight and lose body fat. And I'm having to say to them, right, we need you to eat more. Yeah. And it's a weird thing for them because they're kind of going, right, I want to lose weight, but I need to eat more. Yeah. And the way that I try to explain it to people is that the only way that we'll burn body fat is if our metabolism is operating well. So if you think of it like that you've got two sticks and you're rubbing them together to create fire, right? The fire is metabolism, right? So you've got the fire going, but what do you need to keep the fire going? You need logs. Yeah. Think of the logs like your sleep and also your calories. So we need to have enough calories to keep the fire going. We don't need more. Yes, we could have as many logs as possible, throw them in. That makes the fire bigger. But the thing is, in terms of fat loss, it's like you just need enough to keep the fire going. That is how we get it. And I try to use that analogy to make them understand that because what they've done before is they're just making sparks. They've not even set the fire going. So that's why we need to give them more food. You see what I mean? So it's these types of things that it just shows how much knowledge you need to get, but you're not going to get that all in one go. So this is why you need to just take the time to do that trial and error, to realize you're not going to know everything straight away. You just need to try it and get better as you go along. And this is why, to make it even more simplistically, what you've done with your band plan, you know?
Yeah, you have to accept that you don't know something to learn it, and that's it. Yeah. But sometimes there's that, oh yeah, but I know this, I can do this. And that's kind of how I started, because I was like, yeah, but it's just training, isn't it? It's the same. But it's not, because you have to incorporate factors like variable resistance, like how at the beginning of a movement there's no resistance, at the end there's more. So you have to use different sets of movements that you wouldn't necessarily use when you're doing weight training. And the whole programming has to be different, because the time under tension is less because of the way the bands work. But that's something I had to learn by doing. I didn't, obviously, technically, I knew that stuff. I knew an elastic band that's more stretched, has got more resistance on it. That's a thing that I knew, but to actually incorporate into a proper training plan was something I'd never done. So I didn't know how many reps were going to be effective at the beginning. I was doing my 10 to 12 reps I was doing with my weights, and I'm like, I'm not feeling this like I would feel it. So then I try something else. Maybe I need to increase the resistance, and I tried loads of different things till I finished the plan. But it was just incorporating small bits of knowledge that I knew, but accepting that I didn't have the knowledge to reach my end goal, and learning with the small bits that I had. Because like I said, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. So yeah, that's basically what I did. And in terms of what you said about the metabolism and stuff, and those kinds of things, the way I always see it, and you can use this analogy or phrase when you go on to trying to start your business or doing some training or trying to learn a new skill, is minimum effective dose. So just do the minimum for the maximum result. So in terms of trying to start something new, you don't want to spend 10 hours of the day doing something and the next day be sick of it. Just do the minimum effective dose. So get a small portion of something done. Like when I put people on diets, if I do have to increase or reduce their calories, it's only ever by a tiny amount, because I know it will be effective for a while, and it will keep that person happy and comfortable. Like when you're dieting for your show, or you have to do cardio at some point, but you're not going to be doing an hour cardio every day 10, 12 weeks out from the show necessarily, because that's unnecessary at that point, but you might need it later, so you hold it back so you can use it later. So just I like the phrase minimum effective dose, and I think it's very useful in any project you're going to follow. And sometimes you might do more than the minimum effective dose if you felt good that day, but don't put the pressure on yourself to do more. That's how much I have to do today. If I do that much, great, but if I get that done, that's what I set for myself, and I'm happy with that. And I think you can, if you live your life like that, you'll probably be happier a lot of the time.
I just think there was sort of 2 points, but that point that you just raised there was really good. I just think that a lot of people just want to get to the end, which is fair enough. But let's go back to what you even said with your band plan. Now that you've done it, and you've even said that when it ended, you almost felt like deflationary in the sense of you've done it, but you think there that you've done it, that will be the major source of adulation, and that you're going, yes, I've done it. But it seemed like really for you, when you look back at it, it goes back to a phrase of the journey was more important than the end of the start.
Yeah.
And this is the point that people don't realize. It's the journey that makes you better. It's the journey that gives you the knowledge. It's the journey that makes you understand what you are capable of.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And when you look at what you've done, or you look at anything that maybe you've achieved in your life, do you appreciate that actually the journey, rather than actually just when you've got there, that's actually been the more important thing to shape even who you are as a person now and what you believe you can do?
Yeah, I mean, that's all right. 100% think that's true, especially if you think about anything that you wanted to do. Like if you had a huge, big target in your life that you want to achieve, if someone just gave it to you, there you go. There's the Olympia title. Well done. Done great. It's meaningless then.
Yeah.
It's completely meaningless because I can go around and tell everyone I've done this. Well done me, but I didn't really do it. Like it was the things I have to overcome along the way and the work for it, and the fact that I might not be able to do it and I have to overcome it. That's where the achievement comes from.
Yeah.
We mentioned that last time actually. Is like if you set yourself a tiny little goal and you just achieve it, there's actually no achievement because there was nothing to overcome.
Yeah.
To get there, and every life, it wouldn't be a goal if there wasn't a barrier to getting there, because you have to work for it. So that's where the achievement comes from. And yeah, it was. If the journey didn't exist, and you went, right, I want a new plan. Thing, it's done. There's no achievement. So yeah, definitely the whole way through, I was excited seeing it get bigger and closer to being finished, and it was an achievement. I felt amazing that I'd done it, but it made me want to do something else because I'm ready for that feeling again.
Exactly. It's the completion of it that's good, but it's the fact that you've achieved that. That's what makes you want more, and that's what breeds success, and that's what people need to understand. It's actually doing things that's important.
Yeah.
So I think we've actually probably really answered it in the sense of people that maybe find it hard to finish things or to really get started with a project. They've got to really think about that. It's in the doing it that you're going to get all the benefits from it. It's in the doing it you're going to see how things progress. In the doing it you're going to learn more about yourself. It's in the doing it that you truly are going to understand what you're capable of. And that is the power of it. So when you do achieve it, as you said, you want more of that.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, really, that was what it is. But there was one thing just before. Let's see if I can remember, because that was just such a good point there. It was when you talked about how things need to be calculated risks.
Yeah.
And that as well was the sort of having a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Yes, there's people that maybe don't have as much knowledge, so it's a lot easier to see why they're maybe a bit hesitant to try things. But again, you need to learn. You just need to get knowledge. So the best way to get knowledge is to do it. But people who have a little bit of knowledge, do you think that they can start to get derailed when they start to see that they maybe don't have the knowledge that they thought they did, or to overcome something? Do you think that can sometimes be an issue as well?
Well,
that makes them stop?
I think if you use it, I think yes. I think because it's sometimes if you think you can't get better or you can't learn that thing, it can be demotivating, which comes back to what we said about self-belief before. That you need to believe that you can do something to try and do it. But the main point I was making about a little bit of knowledge being dangerous is not that it's bad to have a little bit of knowledge, because that's great, you can build on it. But what I meant to say really was, let's say I had my little bit of resistance band knowledge and I did no work, no trial and error, I didn't learn anything, I just wrote down a plan and was like, there you go, everyone. Like, and then I could hurt someone, or I could, so that's where a not having the willingness to learn, that's when that little bit of knowledge is dangerous. When you use a small bit of knowledge and pass it on, and it's like Chinese whispers, and it could end up either hurting someone or sending someone down the wrong path. As long as you're willing to learn, a little bit of knowledge is great. But obviously never put incomplete knowledge out to someone, especially when their health is involved. So like, I think that's important for people to know. It's like, oh, I know a little bit, that's great, and you might talk to your best friend about it, or your mates, but you're not going to professionally put that knowledge out there. So be willing to build on your knowledge before you pass it on to others. Because you want people to go to someone else, hey, I learned this off of that person. They go, oh, that's brilliant. Not to say, actually, I read somewhere that's wrong. You don't want that to be your legacy. So and I think like with this whole thing, there was a big sort of fitness business rush to get body weight workouts out to people and stuff without the sort of due course from people that perhaps hadn't done it before, because I didn't want to incorporate a load of body weight training initially to my clients, because I wanted to put the research in first, because it's not something I generally do. I do some basic moves, yes, but my style of training doesn't use that stuff. So I actually passed some of my clients over to one of the other trainers who's an expert in that. And I was happy to do that and admit that that's something I don't know. Doesn't mean I'm not going to learn it and then be like, I've got the knowledge now, because having a knowledge base of fitness, obviously, and a degree in sports science and kinesiology, I understand the basics and I can learn it, but it doesn't mean I know everything or like from the start. So yeah, I think you definitely have to be willing to admit what you don't know, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually probably, especially as someone who's not in charge, but helping people with their like fitness and health, I think it's the most responsible thing you can do, is admitting when you don't know something. So yeah, I think that was probably an example of a little bit of knowledge being dangerous, when everything was people just throwing stuff out without doing the due research. And I think that's where someone like yourself, as I know you trial and error everything, I know that you would have gone through everything first before you gave it to your client, and you know that it works. And I think that's where people like yourself will like thrive now, because you've got immense trust from your clients, and I think that's awesome. So yeah. And
sort of, in addition to sort of what you sort of have said, I mean, I think really we need to understand what it is that we know, and if we want to use that in terms of a new endeavour that we're wanting to do, we can use that knowledge, just like you said, but we need to realise our limitations with it, and if we want to actually go further with it, then that's where we need to get that additional knowledge.
Yeah.
But this is what it all comes back to. It's what you said. This whole game, be it to get in better shape, to start a business, to write a blog, and you've never done that before, whatever the endeavour is, it really is that trial and error, but done in a calculated way of what it is you know. Do you need to know more to be able to progress this further? What can you do to know more about it? Keep on trying different things and seeing, okay, does this work for me? No, it doesn't. What else can I do? What other path I need to look into? What other avenues do I need to focus on to get me further ahead in this? Is there people I need to speak to? Is there a course I need to take? Once you know what you're doing, once you've got the proper reason, like what you had for your band plan, then it makes all these decisions become a lot easier and a lot more obvious that that's what you need to do to get to the next stage of whatever it is you're trying to do. I mean, is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, 100%. I think as soon as I understood all those points and what I needed to know, it was much easier to go out there and put in that trial and error, because I knew what my end game was. Yeah. Like if I've got a back workout my goal is to create an effective hypertrophy workout for back, I know that I need to take decisions through that process. So I'm going to create a workout I think works. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how it feels. I mean, in terms of the perfect scenario, it would probably be a year of running that plan. But obviously, in terms of time constraints, I did it over a number of weeks, but it's the best I could do, because I want people to be able to use it now. That was the whole point. Yeah. But you need to try things and realise what doesn't work. I think the most important thing is I think the best I'd probably example, if it were, was when I was trying a few exercises I kind of came up with on my own with the bands, and I'd never seen anyone doing them before. So I thought that's a brilliant idea, that'll work. But then I had to try it to sort of prove to myself whether it worked, or oh no, actually that doesn't feel great, there's something wrong there, that angle of pull's not brilliant, because it's just coming up with what I could, with what I had. So yeah, I think the trial and error part was super, super important in the whole process. And I think it was a learning curve for me. And I think if I hadn't admitted what I didn't know and just thrown what I had out there, I never would have been as happy with the final product. Or I would have known that I'd sold out. which is equally not as good. But,
yeah. So I mean, I mean, bearing in mind that I only really gave this sort of topic to Simon like about maybe half an hour before we came onto this live, I think that we've really covered a lot of good points as to what it really takes to get started with an idea that you have, but actually to take it from being an idea into something you can action, and what you need to think about to actually make this happen for you and to actually be able to stick to it. It really does come back to understanding why you want to do it in the first place. It comes back to understand your why, but then appreciating that you're not going to be great at it straight away. So appreciate that it's just, as Simon said, trial and error, but do this in a way that you can identify what it is that is going wrong, and then what you can try to do to fix it. And if you need someone to help you with that, or you need a different resource, then use those resources, because they're going to just make you better and be able you to get to your goal. So it really is just that type of structured approach. But then that's the thing in life, it's all about structures, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you can only create, I think the one big point to starting your new project, because you're all going to do that now, you've been watching this, is to start off by accepting what your limitations actually are. So for me, like just as a small example to kind of finish up on, my band plan was initially much bigger. It had a much broader scope. And the idea for me was, I was like, it's a great idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then by the time I started putting it into practice, I realised it would probably have taken me over a year to develop and finish everything. I was like, and as I cut stuff away, I was like, oh, it would have been better with that in. But I was like, the limitation is the time frame, because it has to be released when it's useful to everyone. Yeah. So I had to make sacrifices. And it doesn't mean that maybe one day I won't expand it, because it's going to be a product I've got forever now, which is the benefit of creating a product in this time, is that if you create something you're proud of, it doesn't ever have to go away. You've got that forever. But I did have to sort of realise that I'm not Superman. I can't do 3 people's jobs at once. Like, so I was coding, because my resistance band plan is not a PDF download. It's it basically works like a subscription to a part of my website. Right. So every part of the resistance band plan is an individual page of a website, and there's about 60 pages. So I spent 50% of the time doing website stuff. So I had to do that. I had to come up, I had to test the plan, I had to film and edit all of the videos for the plan. And by the time I'm like, oh, actually, this is going to take a long time. And I thought it was going to be like a week and I would finish it, because I had an initial date in mind. I wanted to release it. That got set back another 2 weeks. And then it took me another week on top of that, because actually I'd still underestimated when I was going to be finished. So, and that was with cutting stuff away. So just accept what your limitations are. It might just be a time constraint. It might be a skill issue. So I was lucky enough that I just used a website designer, but I wouldn't be able to code a website on my own. So I would be limited in that respect. And like we said earlier, just ask for help. So if I didn't know how to code a website or do a video, I'd ask someone for help with that. Because you can't know everything. I was very lucky that that's defined within my skill set, which is why I decided to do it. And then it boils down to accepting what I can do at the beginning, because otherwise I might have needed another month to learn a new skill before I can start. So always try and operate within what you know if you've got a time constraint, or give yourself time to learn that skill first, and just adapt that into your plan, which is fine to learn a new skill, but remember it's going to take some time to perfect it. So, and it's never a bad thing to accept your limitations. It's not like, I know some people are proud and they don't want to say I don't know something, but don't be worried. I think it's a sign of confidence to be able to accept your limitations. For me, I'm not scared to say I don't know that. That's not a scary or embarrassing thing for me, but it's for a lot of people. So be confident in what you do know, but remember to know what you don't. And if you want to learn it, learn it. If you want to outsource it, outsource it. I didn't notice the time. But yeah, I mean, really to just sort of finish it
up here, but it's just really appreciating that a project is just that. It's a project. We don't build houses in a day or a week or even a month. It takes a bit of coordination, and maybe things won't go to plan, but that doesn't mean that we should stop it. Because we want the end goal, really. So, I mean, what sort of, bear in mind what you've actually achieved here. What things would you want people to take away from what you've learned from that experience of creating something?
Well, firstly, getting it done feels great. So just be aware that when you get to the end, you're going to feel good because you've got to what you set out to achieve. So there is always the end goal, but also the fact that I actually enjoyed the process of making it, which I didn't think I would, because at the beginning I'm kind of like, oh, I've got to do this now, oh, I've got to do that now. But actually, as I saw things being created in front of me as I was working, it was satisfying the whole way through. And so each night when I was working on it, it'd be great to go down and say, I've done that today. You know what I said I was going to do this morning? That's finished now. I can chill. And I felt good every day because I had all those goals. So always just set yourself little tasks along the way. Any task you can succeed in and kind of finish along the way, the small ones, that was a great thing, great takeaway to have tick boxes if you have to. To-do lists are great. And definitely set out to do something that has a purpose behind it, that you really believe in. Like, I believed that the band plan was going to help people train from home, which is really important to me. So it felt worthwhile working on it. So whatever you're working on, just believe in it and believe that you can finish it. You might feel like at the beginning that it's a big thing, which is why you need the little tasks along the way. But you can finish. If I can finish it, my goal, which wasn't a huge one, it was just creating a product. But if I can do that, you can as well. Like, I'm nothing special. Like, there's nothing special about me that means I can do my project and you can't do yours. So just be aware that all it takes is getting started. Get started, write it down, create yourself a little plan, however small, and start ticking stuff off. And before you know it, you'll be finished. And you'll be pleased that you did. And then you'll be wanting to do it again. So, yeah, that was my experience. Hopefully it'll be yours.
Yeah. But, yeah, and yeah, thanks for your sort of time again, Simon. And I did think that, you know, using what you've created would be a sort of like good idea to like be able to show people really what it actually takes to actually not only come up with an idea, but and to think of starting it, but to actually follow it through and what it actually entails. So I really do hope that this live chat will actually really help people sort of through that, not even just in lockdown, but just with actual how to follow through with things in general. So I'm pretty sure that the knowledge you've sort of given here will be so valuable in that. So definitely, I think it'll be really good for people that see this, they've been watching this live or watch it on replay, or who will see it on my YouTube channel as well. So with that, I mean, that's the end of episode 9 of Quarantine Fitness and Life. Today was with my main co-host, Simon Chandler, who you can follow at Shredded with Simon on Instagram, and you can check out his band plan there. I think he's got the link to his sort of website on his page. So
link in my bio,
you guys to look at that if you want to see how to gain muscles using elastic bands. Simon is definitely your man for that.
I definitely am now.
So with that, guys, Simon and I will see you again soon in a future episode. So
yeah, take care, dude. Take care, everyone.
See you later, Simon. Yep. Cheers for that.